So good evening, everyone. I'd ask you if you would take your seat. We're just about to get started. So proper good evening to everyone. My name is Mary Oxner, and I am the chair of East Coast Credit Union Board of Directors, and I would like to officially call this meeting of members to order. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are respectfully gathered in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We also acknowledge the histories, contributions, and legacies of the African Nova Scotia people and communities who have been here for over 400 years. I would like to welcome everyone to the 2024 East Coast Credit Union Annual General Meeting. Once again this year, we are excited to provide members the ability to watch from the comfort of their own homes using the online video stream option. Members tuning in via live stream will also be able to ask questions or make comments by accessing the chat function in the live stream platform. That function is located in the upper right-hand corner of the screen and appears as a chat bubble. Once you click the chat icon, you can choose Guest at the bottom of the screen, enter your name, and click Join. We will answer questions from both our members in attendance and our members online during various points of our meeting. However, only those physically present, you gathered here today, in the room will be asked to make a motion and or vote. Tonight's meeting will reference our annual report, our audited financial statements, which are linked in the annual report, and the minutes from last year's AGM, and they can all be found on our website, which is www.eastcoastcu.ca. When asking questions this evening, please come to the microphone. You'll see one located here in front of me. Speak loud and clear and state your full name. We would ask that all questions be raised using the microphone so that all members in attendance here tonight and viewing on our live stream can hear and understand the questions. I would like to note that the meeting this evening will follow Robert's Rules of Order. I would like to take a moment to welcome our special guests this evening, including our system partners. We want to thank you for attending our annual meeting, and we certainly appreciate the support of all of those system partners. So at our head table, myself, Mary Oxner, Chair of the Board of Directors. Next to me is Ken Shea, our President and CEO. Next to him is Andrew Brown, our Parliamentarian and Scrutineer. And next to him is Caroline Dickey, our Recording Secretary for this evening. I would also like to introduce the rest of your Board of Directors, and I would ask those Board of Directors to stand once I've called your name, and you can sit immediately thereafter, but just so people know who you are. So Melanie Sampson, Vice Chair. Julie Marchand, Secretary. Dan Fagier is the chair of our audit committee, and unfortunately he sends his regrets this evening. Kathy McDonough Rankin, who's the chair of our credit committee. John Burke, director. Corinne Carey, director. Tyrell Giffen, chair of the governance committee. Christine Hanlon, chair of the communications committee. Greg LeBlanc, who is a director attending virtually from Bridgewater. Ann Sears, chair of the nominations committee. Maurice Smith, director. And Bill Timmons, chair of the community impact committee. We also are joined by members of our senior executive team. I introduced our CEO, Ken Shea, of course. But also with us is Leila Khalil, Vice President of People and Culture. Attending via live stream is Javier Lozano, Vice President IT and Innovation. Kathy McReynolds, who's the Vice President of Support Services and Risk. Sally Vanderweel, Senior Vice President, Member Experience and Strategy. And Frank Beyond, Vice President, Finance and Corporate Services. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause for applause for standing, but it breaks things up. We take pride in helping the younger generation succeed by supporting our young community leaders through programs such as our bursaries. Our youth play an important role in the future success of East Coast Credit Union and our communities. This year, East Coast Credit Union offered 13 $2,000 bursaries, plus an additional $2,000 bursary for the child of or grandchild of staff and board. The successful applicants are selected anonymously and chosen based on their community and school involvement. I'd like to call upon Ken Shea to announce our bursary recipients. Ken?
Thank you, Mary. Our youth are our future, and once again this year, we're very pleased to see how promising a future we have through the applicants. These young people have not only proven they're our future leaders, but they're leaders of today as well. Many of them have accomplished some great things already, and we look forward to continuing to watch them do further great things. The Bursary Selection Committee had a very difficult task in front of them, identifying the top candidates plus the single internal applicant for family bursary. And we hope that our bursary winners will continue to think of East Coast Credit Union for all their financial needs and as their institution of choice. And we invite them to have a talk to us and learn more about how we can be partnering for their financial success in the future. So that's an offer that's out there for all of you. I'll ask each recipient to come up forward as their name is called, and they'll receive their award. Once you're presented with your award, if you can kind of collect at the back of the room, and then we're going to gather after everybody's done just outside in the hallway so we can get some pictures done. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, although it is not a requirement. We would like you to stay for the group photo, though. So without further ado, I'll get started. First, we have Marty McLean, who plans to attend CDBC Career College to complete a degree in dental assisting. She's not able to attend this evening, but we'll make sure that she gets her award. Our next recipient is Karen McDonald. Karen plans to attend St. Mary's University to complete a Bachelor of Arts, in Sociology, and he was also not able to attend. Callie McDonald, who plans to attend Memorial University to complete a Bachelor of Science, however, is here, I believe, so we'll ask Callie to come forward. And next we have Leah LeBlanc, who plans to attend St. Mary's University to get a Bachelor of Commerce, and she was unable to attend this evening. Quinn Acker Canning, who plans to attend Memorial University to complete a science degree. So I believe Quinn may be here? No? Okay. All right. The next one is Kaisak McDonald, who plans to attend Dalhousie University to complete a degree in commerce. And he's here. I thought I met him earlier. Yep. Maria Armenta, who plans to attend Acadia University to complete a degree in biology, and she was unfortunately unable to attend this evening. Charles McEwen, who plans to attend Queen's University and is completing a degree in engineering. He's also not here. Brianna Gilby, who plans to attend St. FX to complete a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and I believe Brianna's here. And we have Conlon McKenzie, who plans to attend St. FX to complete a degree in business admin. And I think Conlon's here as well. Oliver Long, who plans to attend Acadia University to complete a Bachelor of Music, who is unfortunately not with us. Alexandra Benavides, who plans to attend University of New Brunswick to complete a Bachelor of Arts, Law in Society program. Claire Hodgsons was also a winner, and she plans to attend Acadia University to complete a Bachelor of Science in Biology, and Claire is unable to join us this evening. I'm now delighted to announce the recipient of this year's Family Bursary, who is a child of an employee who works with our Member Advice Center in Inverness. The successful recipient is Krisha Camaros. So she plans to attend Mount St. Vincent University to complete a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. So I think if I could ask all the bursary winners to go over by that door, Trudy, and we'll make sure that we get a nice picture of all you gathered together. If you could, that would be great. Thank you very much. And again, congratulations to all our bursary winners, and great luck with your studies. We wish you much success. Now I'll turn it back over to Mary.
Wonderful. So I'm delighted to introduce our guest speaker for this evening, Alec Bruce. Alec is a master storyteller whose captivating narratives have garnered him numerous accolades and a dedicated following. With over 3 decades of experience as a professional journalist and author, Alec has established himself as a leading voice in Canadian media. Alec's expertise spans a wide range of subjects, including business, politics, and society, and his dedication to journalism extends beyond traditional media outlets. Since 2020, he has served as a local journalism initiative reporter for the Guysborough Journal, covering diverse needs of underserviced communities across Canada. His in-depth coverage of environmental activism and community initiatives reflects his commitment to impactful storytelling. In addition to his journalism career, Alex is also a distinguished author, having penned several commissioned biographies of prominent Canadians and their families. His latest book, The Cooperators, which you may see in the back of the room, the people behind the rebirth of a Nova Scotia movement, 1949 to 2024, has received rave reviews for its informative and engaging portrayal of Nova Scotia's original people's movement. I would now like to welcome Alec to the podium to speak to the power of the cooperative movement and how it has emerged as a resilient and innovative force for social and economic change. Welcome, Alec.
Thank you, Mary. I was thinking maybe I should leave before I blow that opening. I did not write that, and I don't have a publicist, but thank you. So everybody's having a birthday, 90. I wrote this book for the Nova Scotia Co-op Council's 75th, so you got them all beat by 15 anyway. But so congrats anyway, happy 90th, and thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to address so many credit union members. As it happens, I'm a member of East Coast Credit Union, and not just to appear here. I'm also a member of the Domestic Credit Union in Moncton. Been a credit union member for many years, long before I met Diane Kelderman and the folks at Nova Scotia Co-op Council. But anyway, as a member, I took a good look at the annual report you were all kind enough to send me, and 1933, the year, popped out, and I saw the name Berggren. It's not a name you're going to forget. It's not surprisingly a name that figures prominently in my book. He lent his name to one of the institutions that, among many others, and you know this better than I, that eventually became East Coast Credit Union, but of course he did more than than that. Researching the book, I found him to be a pretty intriguing character. Here's this lawyer and banker from Gloucester, Massachusetts, and right off the top, one of the great leaders of the cooperative movement back in the day, Jimmy Tompkins, who'd met Berggren while promoting his own book, Knowledge for the People, in the U.S., thought the rotund, bespectacled heir to a family fortune, these are his words, not mine, and Gilded Age privilege was your typical establishment man. In fact, Roy Berggren had made an international name for himself as a pioneer of the American credit union movement in the early 1920s. He once told a reporter who cornered him about his political affiliations that the reason why bank employees across the United States were organizing credit unions for themselves was to stay out of the hands of loan sharks. He said he once saw a payment of $1,000 on a $30 loan, and that was in the 1920s. I can't imagine what that would be worth today, but frightful. He said most bank workers make no more than do average workers in other professions, yet the laws in most states prevent them from borrowing from their own institutions. He said credit union membership is increasing at a rate of 12,000 a week in this country for a reason. As it turned out, Tompkins did like the cut of Berggren's jib, but more than this, he thought the man had put his finger on the main point for him, and in a way underscored the problem that was stopping more cooperatives at that time from forming and lasting in Nova Scotia, when member-owned enterprises to build some houses or fix a wharf was a promising local economic development strategy. The problem was, nobody had actually figured out how to keep them afloat long enough to do many of the things that they needed to do in the late 1920s. In fact, a lot of them failed because their organizers did not trust banks to lend them money on reasonable terms, if at all, and credit unions at that time sounded an awful lot like banks. It was Berggren, at Tompkins' request, who convinced a rural conference in Antigonish that this was not the case. So we all know that Berggren went on to draft the main points of new legislation officially recognizing, regulating, and enabling credit unions in Nova Scotia. Only Ontario and Quebec had similar laws on their books. Only Quebec had done anything with them. But in 1932, thanks to clergymen and laymen, clergywomen and laywomen, and an American ally who looked a lot like Daddy Warbucks, the Nova Scotia government passed the first Credit Union Act in the province's history. Go figure. They come from away. The rest is history. But the reason why I like that story and why I like to tell it is that it reminds me of the moment when, while writing the book, I realized just how improbable this whole adventure must have been back then. How fully stacked the odds were against these cooperative and credit union founders. And it still boggles me after all the time that I spent working on the people's history. But they still persevered and succeeded. East Coast Credit Union, where it's not a total stretch to say it all began, persevered and succeeded. So again, 1933, assets of less than $100, 25 members. This is according to your own stuff. I'm assuming it's right. 2024, I have not done a fiduciary review. Assets of $1.3 billion in 2024, more than 43,000 members. When I read this over in the car to my wife, I said, more than 43 members. Congrats. In the only book he ever wrote, Masters of Their Own Destiny, published in 1939, Moses Cody threw down a gauntlet to his fellow countrymen and women in language they'd never heard before. And a coal miner comes out of the pit, he said. He cleans up at the wash house and calls it a day. The fisherman thinks he has done enough when he lands his catch on the wharf. The farmer puts in a day of drudgery and knocks off till tomorrow. This is their great mistake. Rather, he insisted, quote, there's no standing still, and if the people do not take the means to advance themselves, they will slip surely backward. And all that is required is that they have the will and the ability necessary for the undertaking. This is their privilege as free citizens, and no one in the country has the right to impede them. They were strong words, but it was the Great Depression. And that was an open wound for scores of Western grain farmers. And Cody was speaking directly to scores of Nova Scotians whose lives had been totally upended in the chaos that had followed World War I. Pressed into service by Britain, who had lost a generation of capitalist engineers and money men in the trenches of northern France, Canadian corporations and their financial backers picked clean Nova Scotia's industrial landscape, first consolidating their grip on fishing, mining, and agriculture, and then cutting their losses to make cheap exports to the mother country. Anything left over, anything at all. They sold at even deeper discounts to the Americans. Fish and lumber prices plummeted, coal and steel industries moldered, employers slashed wages, strikes proliferated, cats and dogs living with each other, the whole shooting gallery. Bottom line is Nova Scotia's population dropped precipitously between 1920 and 25, and although it did recover in absolute terms relatively, it's been kind of anemic until very recently. Anyway, Coady saw all of this up close. His calling put him in front of average folks every day, and every day they fueled his sense of right and wrong. And in town meetings across the province throughout the 20s and 30s, he inspired them, and he inveighed against their woes. His message, the only message he thought worth repeating wherever he went, was that people can and will control and point with pride to their own stores, his words, their own credit unions or processing plants. For mechanical units, they will become thinking people. By creating their own agencies of service, they will save money, and that is something, but they will also save themselves, and that is everything. So I wrote this book thinking maybe that message didn't resonate as much today, and I was wrong. In doing my research and talking to modern-day cooperators and people who operate in credit unions behind the scenes and in front of them, I think it does. In fact, more so now than I had anticipated. I look around and I see the need for this approach rising, not waning. Cooperative housing initiatives, for example, a virtual explosion of small member-owned enterprises in every sector of the economy, all beating the odds, all fiercely cheerful about the future that they are creating. And with them are folks like East Coast Credit Union. Since the early days of the Antigonish movement, a century before, Nova Scotia's credit unions had been first and foremost the people's ports in every conceivable economic storm. As Coady has envisioned, they were more than just banks. Looking after the hard-earned and perishable assets of individuals and small communities was their #1 moral priority. To the extent that cooperative enterprises served that purpose, credit unions were the leading and often only financiers of local small industry. By the third decade of the 21st century, now you have become, as well, some of the most adventurous and innovative commercial lenders in the province. So yes, congratulations on your 90th birthday. But it's what you've done and the example that you've provided, I think, that really deserves the recognition. Thank you.
You're sidestepping away. I do want to thank Alec. This is a milestone year for credit union, and we're delighted, Alec, that you could join us and regale some of the history that you've been researching in your book. Did you want to say a little bit about the book and how people could get a copy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm here to sell books. So the book began it took a year to write the book. So when was it? It took a year to get it published because that's the publishing industry. There are faster ways of doing it, but I decided to go the traditional route, more or less, with a local publisher who I've known for decades. Leslie Choice, Pottersfield Press, terrific publisher. I think they call it imprint? Yeah, terrific imprint. So he and I worked on this, and we're very happy with how it came about. He had a lot of faith in me. The book is now actually out officially. I have copies in the back. I bought a little card reader in case anyone wanted to buy some. I taught myself how to use it this morning. I'm very proud of myself. There you go. I'm a crafter. So there's that. But the book should be, if not now, available in all fine booksellers in the region. I'd point you to them first, then Amazon. I notice it's now not quite discounted after 3.5 hours, but you might want to wait. And Nimbus is not, I don't think it's posted yet to Nimbus. Nimbus would take you to all the local regional booksellers. It's days, I was hoping it was the other day, but it's a thing, it's out, and I actually did crack it open. One of the things, I'm not alone in this, I've checked with my peers who do this for a living is you never get used to actually writing a book. Once it's done, you think, oh, it's wrong. It's all wrong. Everything's wrong. And now it goes into the public, and they will tell you. It becomes yours, not my story anymore. If you asked me to recount chapter and verse, for example, what I wrote, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to actually go through it. It was enormously complicated in a lot of ways. The story tells the tale of Cody and Tompkins only briefly. Others have done a much more thorough job than I, and it's on their shoulders I stood. Men like Jim Boats and Michael Welts helped me out here. Welton, yes, thank you. Terrific research, great scholarly information. Dodaro and Pluta at St. Effects, I think they were still maybe, I don't know, a great piece of work that I relied on there. All cited, of course, but and my own spin on what's out there. But really, where I would say original work, shall we say, comes from my conversations with the great Diane Kelderman and the Nova Scotia Cooperative Council, who were my benefactors, my great supporters in this exercise. My interest in writing the book dovetailed, I would say, with their 75th anniversary. It was a meeting of minds that was just virtuous. It wasn't, here, do me a book. It's our 75th birthday. I actually thought, because the 75th was coming up, it made sense to do a book about a movement that had been reborn to a large extent in the past 20 years and had gathered storm since COVID. I think its relevance kind of rose during the COVID years, the first years of the pandemic, as evinced by the fact that it through Diane and the terrific efforts of that board, managed to do something that it hadn't done since reserve mines, in effect, since the early days in Cape Breton, which was create the means for which people of modest income have been locked out of markets to live affordably and with dignity. And so they're able to do that, and I think they're now, I haven't spoken to her recently, I mean, within the last few hours, you never know, something else could have happened. There are several properties underway right across Nova Scotia in this regard. And again, the absolute, the essential role that East Coast as one and others as credit unions play in these initiatives, it just simply can't be understated. It's what makes the money walk, the talk walk. It's this investment for all kinds of good social and economic reasons. There's a point in the book in which Diane is talking to the original cast and crew of the council, in which they're trying to figure out, well, what are we? Are we socialists or are we profiteers? This actually came up at one of her early meetings, and I said, I never did get a straight answer, really came down to it, but I said at the end of that chapter, I asked her, I said, well, what did you decide? She said, the answer is yes. All of it, which I thought was terrifically hopeful and brave. You don't have to pick a lane, to do well and to do good at the same time. So the book is available right now, just to recap. I have some copies, and I'm going to be giving more out or selling more at the National Congress in Halifax of Cooperatives and Mutuals. If anyone has any questions, they know where to get me. I have business cards as well.
Thank you, Alex. So, Alec, you demonstrated that your storytelling mastery, so really appreciate it, both in your presentation today and also in the follow-up. You're hired. Thank you, Alec. Let's give him another round of applause. So I'd like to reintroduce Andrew Brown. Andrew serves as legal counsel for Atlantic Central League Savings and Mortgage Company and will act as a parliamentarian scrutineer for our meeting. Welcome, Andrew, and thank you for performing these duties for us this evening. Andrew is just here at the front, so welcome. So, as was noted, the East Coast LaHave River Credit Union Amalgamation Agreement, there were no director elections held this year, as the existing directors from East Coast Credit Union, who you met earlier this evening, form the board for 2024, with the inclusion of one director position from LaHave River Credit Union Board. The next director elections will be held next year in 2025. Our bylaws require 18 members in attendance to constitute a quorum for tonight's meeting. We have confirmed that we have 71 members attending the annual general meeting in person this evening. Therefore, I declare we have a quorum. We'd like to take a moment to honor members who have passed away and others in our communities who have faced challenges and adversity. And we can all sort of individualize who those people are in our communities, in our families, in our lives. We would, though, this evening like to pay special tribute to two individuals who were deeply connected to our credit union. Angela Young Pettipaw was a passionate, dedicated, community-minded staff member. Over her 30-year career with our credit union, she served in a number of roles, her last being part of our administration team. Angela's positivity and enthusiasm for life was an inspiration, and she is dearly missed by our East Coast team. The second is Al Sullivan, a committed and driven member of his community who served as a director on the LaHave River Credit Union Board and as director on East Coast Credit Union Board. Al strived to make a difference in his community through volunteering in various capacities with many community groups and organizations. Al firmly believed that if each person committed to doing one thing to help those around them, our world would be a better place. So please join me in a moment of silence and of reflection of these two particular individuals and all those individuals in our lives we remember. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call for an approval of tonight's agenda. A copy of the agenda was included in your meeting package. So I would like a motion from the floor for approval of the April 16th, 2024 East Coast Credit Union Annual General Meeting agenda. To do so, it needs to be someone in person here in the room, and I would ask you to state your name so it can be duly recorded in the minutes. Do we have someone to move?
Bill Timmons.
Thank you. So we have a mover of the minutes, a seconder. To second, please stand and state your name.
John Burke.
Thank you, John. So the motion to approve the agenda for this evening's meeting has been both approved and seconded. I'd ask for all those in favor to raise their hand. All those opposed to raise their hand. Motion carried. The agenda for tonight's meeting has been approved. For the process of approving the East Coast Credit Union AGM minutes from 2023, and also the September 18th, 2023 special membership meeting minutes, a copy of those minutes were made available to members on our website. And I ask if there are any amendments to these minutes. As there are no amendments, the minutes from April 18th, 2023 East Coast Credit Union Annual General Meeting and the minutes of the September 18th, 2023 Special Membership Meeting are approved as distributed on our website. For the process of approving the LaHave River Credit Union April 5th, 2023 AGM minutes and the September 18th, 2023 special membership meeting minutes. A copy of these minutes was made available to members on our website. Are there any amendments to these minutes? If there are no amendments, the minutes from the April 5th, 2023 Lehigh River Credit Union Annual General Meeting and the September 18th, 2023 special membership meeting are approved as distributed on our website. 90 years is a significant milestone for any organization. East Coast Credit Union boasts a consequential and colorful legacy over its 90-year history, and continues to be a meaningful presence in our members' lives and communities. East Coast and its predecessor credit unions continue to be a competitive provider of financial services to a significant population in Nova Scotia. We take pride in developing and innovating products and services in response to members' evolving needs, supporting our communities through contributions designed to increase the capacity of those communities, and developing and delivering financial literacy initiatives in our communities to improve the financial well-being of our members. We seek to increase access to financial services for members through effective amalgamations and the integration of legacy credit unions, and develop opportunities for employees to reinforce their commitment to serving members. As we reflect on our last 90 years, your credit union and its board of directors are focused on the first year of the next 90. The board of directors is elected by the membership to reflect the members' interests. In our role as directors, we anticipate that the rate of change in the financial services marketplace will increase at a pace more rapid than ever before. Considering that rapid pace, the board of directors supports modernization of services to improve efficiency, increased digitization of services anticipating member usage, development of new and innovative products and services, identification of amalgamation opportunities aligned with the sustainability of the credit union system, and making meaningful impacts in our communities. East Coast Credit Union is well positioned for the future. Over 90 years of excellent service would not be possible, however, without the support of you, our members. East Coast Credit Union embraces the future through our effective relationship with our members, you, and our communities. I would like to take a moment to recognize the contribution of one of our directors. And it's really dangerous to single out one director. I would normally single out myself, of course, but not this evening. I'm going to single out Bill Timmons. So Bill has served as a director on East Coast Credit Union Board for many years, and has also been a committed director on the Atlantic Central Board for 9 years, and also on League Savings and Mortgage Board for 6 years. We wanted to acknowledge Bill's long-time commitment to serving members of not just East Coast Credit Union, but the members of credit unions across the Atlantic region, and acknowledge his retirement from the Atlantic Central and League Savings and Mortgage Boards, on which he worked for the betterment of both the credit union systems and our communities. And it was just last week that at the Atlantic Central Conference, there was a whole display of Bill Timmons' beautiful photo acknowledging his contributions at a regional level. And unfortunately, Bill was unable to attend for that event, and we thought it would be very appropriate if we acknowledged his service on a regional level this evening. And so, Bill, I'd ask you to come forward if you would and be acknowledged.
I wasn't
prepared to say anything. It's just that I remember very fondly being the youngest director on the board and going to a 50th anniversary party of Virgin Grand Credit Union back at the old parish center on St. Ninian Street. And 15 years ago, a couple of directors got together, John R. McDougall and a member, Martin McDonald, and we said, what could we do for our 75th anniversary? And we put together a video, a DVD, that was entitled, "You Can Do It," the famous quote from Father Jimmy. And that video has gone all over the world. It's been shown in 5 different film festivals, and has been given free of charge to every high school in Nova Scotia. Because teachers, and I'm a history teacher, former history teacher, we're not teaching the story of co-ops properly. The new History 11 book that came out had only one small paragraph on about a half a page about what happened in the Antigonish movement, and so it's we've gone a long way since that happened, but the DVD technology is kind of gone. But I heard a rumor that if you went to YouTube and you Googled "You Can Do It," the story of the Antigonish movement, you can see the English version of the film, because the film was also translated in French by our good friends down at the cooperative radio station in Shedikamp. And that's because a lot of French immersion kids take the Canadian history in French. And it's a story that was really worth telling. And everybody around the world knows about Moses Cody, but Father Jimmy's role was underplayed, and so we decided to try and feature that in that particular video. There's a few DVDs kicking around.
Guys,
you might have some, yeah. But I suggest that it's really well worth while. It wasn't designed so that teachers would get a whole a couple classes off and play a movie for the kids. It's divided up into 4 parts, 18 minutes each. And I was teaching at St. FX at the time, and I got students in my classes to help design lesson plans that could be used for that. And when the first International Co-op Symposium was held in Quebec City, St. Mary's University bought a copy of each of the DVDs, and they were given to every single delegate from, regardless of what country they're from. And we still get requests from Australia, New Zealand, and stuff like that looking for copies of the DVD. We're not making them anymore. And so we somehow, that movie magically appeared on YouTube, the English version of it. But I did this because I'm very much committed to it, and I hate to tell the story again, but I was a teacher starting off, and we had a little a newborn baby girl, and I had signed a contract to teach in Guysborough for the marvelous sum of $7,200 a year. And the cottage we were renting in Guysborough, the fuel truck, the road wasn't plowed, and we couldn't get, it was totally not suitable for winter living. So we had to move back to Antigonish at the end of November, early December, and try finding a place to live in Antigonish, in a college town after the college years. So we decided we were going to buy a house. There was one house for sale. And I walked into the credit union. They didn't know who I was. I come from away in my home. My family was from Quebec City. And Charlie Joe McGilvery said, "We might be able to help you." He said, "You wouldn't be able to find a couple of letters of rejection from the banks, could you?" And I reached into my pocket and I said, "You mean like these?"
like these ones?
And so I was able to buy a house through a high-ratio mortgage through CMHC on a 30-year plan with no down payment.
It's like we do today.
And now it's gone full circle. But I will never, ever forget the fact that They didn't know who I was. They knew my wife's family, of course, but they knew I had a contract and I had a job, and they took a leap of faith. And then they came looking for volunteers on their education committee, and that's how I got involved. And I've enjoyed it very, very much. I've gone on some great experiences, and I thank you folks for remembering. I didn't think this was going to happen tonight, but hey, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. I would now like to share with you a video highlighting our Community Compass grant winners from the past year.
That was 40,000.
I think the Community Compass grant program is a fantastic initiative of East Coast Credit Union. But what it underscores is the work of people in our community doing amazing, communities across Nova Scotia doing amazing work, building the capacity of their communities and their members and their families. And it's been a delight to visit with some of them as chair, and some of our board have done the same. The Community Impact Fund, with Bill Timmons as chair, and Sally is, I'm going to use the word support Sally, but Sally takes a huge initiative, but amazing. This is just a little sampling of it, but just amazing work. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon our CEO, Ken Shea, for his report. Ken?
Thanks, Mary. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure and pride to be here in front of you again after another year to present our CEO report for East Coast Credit Union. It's a chance for us to highlight some of the great accomplishments and milestones your team has achieved throughout 2023. As an integral part of the financial landscape, East Coast Credit Union remained steadfast in our commitment to serving our members and supporting the communities that we call home. In 2023, East Coast Credit Union continued its journey of strong financial performance and steady growth. Our membership grew to an impressive 43,645 members, and that's a testament to the solid trust and confidence that our members place in us every day. Furthermore, our assets experienced significant increase, reaching over $1.3 billion, and underscoring our firm's commitment to financial stability and resilience. Notably, our loan portfolio witnessed a remarkable growth, propelled by the success of our mortgage subsidiary and the growing demand for commercial loan products. With our equity strong at 7.4%, your credit union is prepared for sustained success and poised to meet your evolving needs as we move into the future. East Coast Credit Union is celebrating a milestone in 2023, marking our 90th anniversary as a credit union. And as we also heard earlier, the Nova Scotia Co-op Council also celebrated a significant milestone in 75 years. In recognition of this 90th anniversary, we've commissioned a plaque which will be installed on the Bergen Grand branch right here in Antigonish to commemorate our history. And this is what it's going to look like. I don't think it's on the building yet. It's been a little more troublesome getting it done than we thought, but it will be there. And what it will do is speak to our history. Since 1933, your credit union continues to commit to cooperatively sharing, growing, evolving together, guiding our members towards financial success. To commemorate the milestones occasion, we also unveiled this year the East Coast Community Corner in Antigonish, a modern space designed for collaboration and community engagement. And if any of you have been there, it's a lovely facility and it's available to our members. We're not trying to compete with others in the community that have similar spaces like this wonderful one, but for our members that need that space, it's available to use. Additionally, in partnership with the Nova Scotia Co-op Council, we co-hosted the conversation with Michelle Obama, promoting the values of community and meaningful dialogue. These initiatives reflect our ongoing commitment to support our cooperative communities and foster collaboration. Throughout 2023, we collaborated diligently with staff, members, and local communities and moved towards a successful vote to merge with LaHave River Credit Union in Bridgewater. At the onset of the new year, East Coast Credit Union extended a warm welcome to staff and members of LaHave as we embark on our official amalgamation. This combination not only expands our physical footprint, but also enriches our shared commitment to service excellence and community support. With this amalgamation, our credit union now proudly serves over 45,000. I think we're actually up over 46 in March, so continuing to grow. Across 20 branches, including a digital branch boasting assets now in excess of 4 billion. We're thrilled with the combined strengths of LaHave Credit Union and East Coast Credit Union, and this giving us the ability to amplify our offerings and deepen our impact in Nova Scotia. At East Coast Credit Union, we're dedicated to our commitment to making a positive social and environmental impact. As many of you are aware, in 2023, we also achieved another significant milestone, attaining our B Corp certification. The B Corp certification is an internationally recognized designation that helps us demonstrate that we meet high standards of social and environmental impact. This distinguished honor underscores our firm's dedication to fostering sustainable practices and combining to the betterment of our employees, communities, and environment, demonstrating a decisive commitment to our core values. As one of only a handful of organizations in Atlantic Canada, we're enormously proud to be certified under the B Corp's rigorous standards. Additionally, East Coast was humbled to be selected as one of Canada's most admired cultures. This award is best-in-class Canadian organizations, is presented to best-in-class organizations in Canada for having cultures that have helped them enhance performance and sustain a competitive advantage. And it is a testament to the unwavering commitment to nurturing a positive and prosperous workplace and the commitment of all of the staff that serve you every day. I'd now like to share a short video highlighting what makes our corporate culture so unique.
At East Coast Credit Union, we focus on collaboration and teamwork. There's a strong sense of work family that creates a supportive and inspiring work environment. Our teams are always willing to help one another, as well as go the extra mile for our members.
Our culture emphasizes creativity, innovation, and continuous learning. I think that empowers staff to express their own ideas and feel confident and comfortable doing so. This has been essential to our continuous growth and evolution.
As a newcomer to Canada, I felt very welcomed. It's wonderful to be working in an environment that embraces diversity and inclusiveness. This commitment enriches the quality of our work and makes us stronger and more unified as a team.
The leadership team at East Coast Credit Union prioritizes the well-being of their employees with great benefits, health and wellness programs, and flexible work arrangements. Working at East Coast Credit Union is one of the best decisions I've ever made.
I am proud to be part of an organization that cares so much about social responsibility. We are making such a positive and meaningful impact in our communities every single day, and that's what makes my role at East Coast Credit Union very meaningful to me.
Our shared values, collective aspirations, and the unwavering commitment of every individual within our organization is the key to our success.
Our culture is our compass, guiding us to innovate, connect, and grow together as a unified, dynamic, and passionate team.
Very nice, inspiring video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it as well. And you notice I have the best face for radio, so I only got a little snippet of the face part, but that's okay. I think that made the video better. Our commitment to community continued to remain strong in 2023. We increased funding for our annual Community Compass Grant Award to $150,000, which we mentioned earlier, empowering social enterprises and cooperatives to catalyze meaningful change in Nova Scotia. Moreover, we actively participated in numerous community activities and initiatives, extending both financial support and volunteer efforts, from championing the Dartmouth Ice Festival and Nova Scotia Summerfest to developing key partnerships with important organizations including the North Grove in Dartmouth, L'Arche Cape Breton, and the Canadian Association for Canadian Living in Antigonish, just to name a few. We expanded our bursary program, providing more funds to students for post-secondary education, and further enhanced support to students through our partnership with the Nova Scotia Community College, donating $87,000 over a 3-year period to programs focused on traditionally marginalized communities. Last year was another challenging year for many in our province. During the wildfires, the teams at East Coast Credit Union worked diligently to identify members directly affected, to offer immediate payment relief and measures such as emergency loans to help ease the financial burdens that they faced. We also supported the Fire Appeals Assistance Program to make donations to support the families that were affected. In 2023, Your Credit Union continued its journey of innovation aimed at enhancing member service and fostering excellence. We launched the First Home Savings Account Program, which is a tax-free program designed to empower members to, in their goals to save for their first home. Additionally, we extended support to many of our members who have availed of the CEBA loan program through the federal government, offering low-interest loans to assist in their repayment so that they could take advantage of grants. Furthermore, we prioritized online security with the introduction of our two-factor or two-step verification, safeguarding your data and your personal information amidst ever-growing and ever-evolving digital fraud and concerns. And I know sometimes it's frustrating to have to do that extra step, but it does protect your information and your money. Through initiatives like Do Some Good online platform, we streamlined the donation process, providing a consistent approach to assist members who reach out for support in making a positive impact in their community. As we commemorate East Coast Credit Union's 90th year, we embark on a new era filled with boundless possibilities. Looking ahead, we remain determined and committed to building better banking experiences for you. Throughout 2024 and 2025, we'll embark on some transformative changes to our online, mobile, and in-branch banking services aimed at further enhancing our convenience, accessibility, and efficiency. To facilitate a seamless transition, we urge members to keep their contact information up to date, enabling us to communicate with them with important updates effectively. In closing, I would like to extend my genuine gratitude to our esteemed board of directors who you've been introduced to earlier this evening for their steady support, strategic guidance, and faithful commitment to our mission. I also extend my sincere appreciation to the team at East Coast Credit Union, whose continued dedication, tireless efforts, and exemplary contributions have been instrumental in our shared success. Most importantly, I extend a sincere thanks to you, our valued members, for your loyalty and your continued support of our organization. Your solid commitment drives us forward, inspires us, to innovate and reinforce our shared vision of a strong, adaptable, and prosperous future for all. Together, we'll continue to grow, evolve, and make a meaningful difference in the lives of Nova Scotians in our communities. I would like to share one other video highlighting our community support activities over the past year, and then I'll turn the stage back over to Mary. So cue the video, that'd be great.
So that's just a snippet of the wonderful work that employees of credit unions and branches across our East Coast Credit Union Network do, and they make such a large difference in their communities. So one more round of applause for employees. They made it. So you just heard both the chairs and the CEO's reports. Are there any questions on either of those reports? If you have a question, you can come to the mic.
Good evening and congratulations to everyone. Very proud to be part of this credit union. A general question related to environment issues and housing issues. I was very pleased to see in the impact statements what's being done around environmental issues, the contributions that have been made to affordable housing here in Antigonish and I think elsewhere as well, and the new housing loan scheme that's in place. But my question is with the assets and the power that the credit union has to make investments, what kind of criteria is used for the credit union's investments to ensure that they support environmental sustainability, they support affordable housing and other issues of that sort?
Yeah, I'll just say it's a great question, and there's an entire framework built around just what you're asking, but I will turn to Ken. Ken?
Yeah, so we do have a community impact framework, or ESG framework, and part of our work that we've been doing as part of the B Corp process is that we have been identifying more and more of these opportunities to ensure that whether it's our investing, most of our investing, quite frankly, is done with members. So it's trying to make sure the members are not having a larger impact on the environment than we'd like. We have recently, we put a part of our, some land that we have set aside over time to have parking and things for sale in Dartmouth. And we're actively working with developers around how we can ensure that that project, when it is developed, includes a significant portion of housing, affordable housing, to allow the community to be stronger. It will be a mixed-use property because I think that's the best way for these things to be done in the long term. It makes it a better asset for the broader community, but definitely will have a higher than normal, hopefully, percentage of affordable housing. So we're tackling these things with each project that we do, with each opportunity we have as best we can, trying to take advantage of our strength as an organization to do that. And you've got a great team, and there's all of them have great ideas, so we try to make sure we include all those and do everything we can to incorporate them. Whenever we do any builds or new construction on any of our buildings, we're always looking at things like, can we incorporate solar or passive solar, whatever opportunities we can to improve the construction so that it's more environmentally friendly. And I know it is something that we'll probably be focusing a little more on over the next year or two as we continue to kind of along that B Corp path or whatever, because it is an area where we think we can make some improvements from the past. So it is one that we'll continue to focus on. So appreciate the question.
Thank you, Ken. Any further questions following from the two reports? The two reports? The CEO report and the chair report? Yeah. Okay, and we'll have another opportunity for questions coming up.
Such an impressive performance. Is auditor in the room? Can we just quickly check? Is that true? Really impressive, at all counts. And I think the page 6, page 14, 15, 16 talk about impact. But probably your most impact, or our most impact, is coming from page 9, our actual portfolio. So the two-part question that if you could reflect a little bit more on how your general portfolio actually creates the economic impact at the local level. And within that, given our changing demographic of the province, the newcomers who are coming, who have slightly different kind of perception about financial services, different needs, different barriers, how are you approaching that particular subject? That's great. Thank you.
No problem. So on the question of how the economic impact, I just will say that we have a very strong and vibrant commercial portfolio, which many of those are small and mid-sized businesses that contribute daily to the employment in their local communities, and we're very supportive of those individual businesses, and we continue to work to find ways to do better for them so that they can continue to grow and build their businesses in their local communities. So I think we do make a very significant impact. I think the growth in that area over the past number of years, it's about 3- or 4-fold. So it's a huge catalyst to growth. We've done a number of projects in different communities around that as well, like whether it was the Michelin project that we did in Pictou a number of years ago and other things like that. So we try to bring our collective good to whatever we're doing, but I think just on our daily basis, what we do actually helps many of those businesses to be more sustainable. On the second part of the question, the newcomers, it's an area we're certainly focused on and trying to find the best ways to ensure that we're providing that help. it is a difficult one because many newcomers, when they come from other countries, they may have already been exposed to institutions in Canada before they get here. So it's trying to be in the right place at the right time with the right community supports. But what we do is we do engage very much with the local chapters of immigrant settlement, et cetera, to try to do whatever we can. We've done training through our Each One Teach One programs to help newcomers learn about doing business in Canada, on a personal basis and on a business basis. So many of them come and become entrepreneurs here, so trying to support that journey. But it is one that we continue to look for ways to do better for sure. So appreciate that one. It's a good question.
Great, thanks for the question. Thank you, Ken. One final call for questions on this chair and or CEO report. All right, seeing none, I would now like to welcome Lauren Bale. Lauren is the Senior Manager from BDO, and she will deliver the audit report on the 2023 East Coast Credit Union Audit Statement. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Mary. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here this evening. The part you've all been waiting for, the financial statements.
The excitement.
We've been inspired, we've heard wonderful stories, but let's talk about the numbers. If you could just switch to the next slide, please. So really pleased to present tonight that we are at BDO are giving East Coast Credit Union a clean, unmodified audit opinion, meaning that we have found no errors or omissions in the financial statements, and we believe that they are fairly stated in all material respects under international financial reporting standards. And then the next slide, please. This is the balance sheet. Really, Ken has already, he stole my thunder a little bit, talking about some of the amazing highlights, but really want to highlight the wonderful loan growth this year of a 10% increase. This is coming from alternative mortgage lender, also from a lot of significant growth within the credit union itself. And then the assets have increased by 11.5%. The deposits also grew by 11.5%, which is so critical in this environment with high interest rates, making sure that there is sufficient liquidity in the credit union. And so really excellent to see that growth along with the loan growth and to see the deposits actually growing in excess. And then the equity has grown. Obviously, the equity growth is always based on the performance in the year, and so really high performance in the year, going from 89 million to 96 million. And then the equity percentage, this is a regulatory ratio, and so the bare minimum is that it must be 5%, and so the credit union is at 7.3%, which is really excellent. So there is sufficient equity in the credit union to make sure that all regulatory requirements and liquidity requirements can be met. Next slide, please. And then the income statement. So financial revenue has grown from 41 million to 58 million. So that excellent increase is primarily driven by the 10% growth in the loan portfolio during the year, but also still seeing some impact of higher interest rates across the province, and as loans have been renewed, but also new loans, seeing that higher rate of growth. And so the overall in the whole portfolio, percentages of interest rates have increased by about 1% over the whole portfolio. And then financial expense, so this is the interest paid on deposits to members, and so that has grown substantially from 9 million to 21.6 million. And again, with the rising interest rate environment that we're in right now, seeing actually that interest rates on deposits grew by about 1.5% over the entire book of deposits, so substantial increase. But the positive news is that financial margin is still growing by about 4 million over the year. Other revenue also saw significant growth of 3 million. This is predominantly fees on deposit accounts and other commissions and sort of a whole potpourri, a whole basket of things. And then operating expenses, the day-to-day expenses also grew by about 5.5 million. This encompassed several things, and if you have any questions on it, I'm going to defer to Frank, our CFO. He'll be happy to take any questions on it. He is, I'm not going to look at him right now. And then really, at the end of the day, the net income has grown by $1 million. So from $7 million last year to $8 million this year. So wonderful financial success story. I audited a lot of credit unions across Ontario and Atlantic Canada. And I will say from my sprinkling of data that I have gotten through this year, a lot of credit unions with the interest rate environment are not doing as well as East Coast Credit Union has been. So very strong financial results this year, and really glad to see that. And we're celebrating 90 years tonight, and I feel a little bit part of that. I have been sort of on the audit team of East Coast Credit Union for 10 years now, so I feel like I can share a little bit in that. So it's really great to be here this evening and share in the financial success of the organization.
Thank you, Lauren. Are there any questions on the auditor's report and or on the financial statements? Hearing none, I'd like to call for the approval of the auditor's report. To do so, I'd ask that a member from the floor move for approval of the auditor's report as presented. So Ann Sears, thank you, Ann. Ann Sears moves the approval of the auditor's report. Is there a seconder? So Anuj seconds the motion. So the motion to approve the auditor's report has been moved and seconded. All of those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, raise your hand. Motion carried.
And the fun's not over.
Some of us like this part of the presentation. Now I'd like to welcome another auditor, and his name is Miles Sweeney. He's the founder and president of Miles T. Sweeney Limited, Chartered Professional Accountants, and I'm going to ask him to deliver the auditor's report on the 2023 LaHave River Credit Union audit financial statements. Miles?
Thanks, Mary, and congratulations, everyone, on your 90th anniversary. So, as Mary mentioned, we were appointed as auditors for LaHave at last year's AGM, and included in our financial statements is our auditor's report. And you will note that it's addressed to you, the members, because you're the ones who appointed us. We deal with the board of directors through the audit committee. And like the East Coast Credit Union auditor's report, our auditor's report was unqualified, which means that we did not find any issues that would cause us to qualify our opinion. So next slide, please. So I'm sort of a visual person. I understand and retain information better if it's visual. And over the years, I've found that it's helpful to present, especially financial information, in a visual format so that people can understand it a bit better. Because let's face it, financial statements can be daunting. They're very comprehensive. They include lots of notes, and they can be confusing for the average person. So on this next slide, we look at the income and expenses of LaHave Credit Union for 2023. So income consists of loan interest, investment income, and other income. And so the column on the left on the overhead is the income and income for 2023 and 2022. So you can see that in 2023, the column on the far left is considerably higher than the 2022 column. And that represents an increase of about $970,000 over the previous year. And all categories of income were up. The second series is the expenses. And we've got 2023 on the left, 2022 on the right. So the expenses in a credit union consist of interest that's paid out to the members on their deposits, operating expenses, and income taxes. So you can see that in 2023, the expenses were higher than in 2022. They were up by about $500,000. So the next columns that we're going to look at is the rebate. And in 2023, there was a small rebate of $8,500. It was $100,000 in 2022. So when you take the income and you subtract the expenses and the rebates, you're left with the net income. And that's the column on the far right. And you can see that in 2023, it was much higher than in 2022. It was actually $1.3 million in 2023 compared to $757,000 in 2022. So that's an increase of over $500,000. So a very solid year in terms of financial performance. The next slide we're going to look at is the assets, liabilities, and equity. So assets in a credit union assets are what the credit union owns, and it consists of cash resources, the loans receivable from the members, investments, capital, assets, and other assets. So if you look at the total assets column on the far left, you can see that in 2023 it was higher than in 2022. It increased by $1.8 million in 2023, and that was primarily due to an increase in member loans. The next section is the liabilities. So liabilities in a credit union consist of accounts payable and member deposit accounts. So liabilities increased by about $500,000 in 2023 over 2022, and that's primarily as a result of higher member deposits. So the last section on the far right is the members' equity, and that consists of share capital, a special reserve, and retained earnings. So the next slide we're going to look at is the breakdown of the members' equity. So on the far left, we've got the member shares. They stayed about the same in 2023 compared to 2022. The middle part of the slide is the special reserve. It doesn't show up because it's small in amount, but there was a special reserve set up in the amount of $12,500 for domestic violence recovery loans, and that remained unchanged from 2022 to 2023. So the last column on the far right is the retained earnings, which represents the accumulated profits that LaHave Credit Union has earned since its inception. So you can see that 2023 is higher than 2022, and that's because of the $1.3 million in profit that it earned in 2023. So the next slide we're going to look at is the actual and required equity. You heard mentioned before that under the Credit Union Act, all credit unions have to maintain equity at a level at least equal to 5% of total assets. So on the far left is the comparison of the actual and the required equity under the Act. So the purple column is the required equity, and the blue column is the actual. So you can see in 2023, the actual equity was considerably higher than the required level. And it equates to 3.2 million of equity, and the minimum level is 3.2 million in 2023. The actual was 7.7 million. So the actual equity was 12.2% of assets. So very strong financial position for LaHave River Credit Union. The next slide is just a summary of things that I think you can take away from the 2023 fiscal year. Total assets increased by 1.8 million, or 3%. Net income increased to 1.3 million. Members' equity is now at 12.2% of assets. And lastly, the credit union is in a strong financial position as it becomes part of East Coast Credit Union. So congratulations to LaHave River Credit Union on a very solid year and very strong financial position as it becomes part of East Coast. So that's it for my presentation, but I'll certainly entertain any questions that members might have. Okay, well, hearing no questions, then I'd like to thank the board of directors, the management and staff of LaHave for their assistance during our audit in 2023. It certainly makes our job a lot easier. And I'd like to thank them for the years that they've used our services and wish them best of luck in the future as part of the East Coast Credit Union. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you, Miles. As there are no questions on the auditor's report, I would like to call for the approval of the auditor's report on the audit of LaHave River Credit Union at December 31st, 2023. Could I get a motion from the floor moving the approval of the report? And I've been neglectful and been reminded to ask you to state your name when moving or asking questions. So to move, state your name. Anuj Jain moves. Seconder? Kathy McDonnell Rankin seconds the motion. Thank you, Anuj and Kathy. The auditor's report has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, raise your hand. Motion carried. The auditor's report on the December 31st, 2023 financial statements of LaHave River Credit Union have been approved. I'll now ask Corinne Carey, Audit Committee member, to make a motion to appoint our external audit firm for the coming fiscal year. Corinne?
So I move that East Coast Credit Union engage BDO or successors as our external auditors for the fiscal year 2024. Can I have a seconder?
Bill Timmons.
So all those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried. The BDO has been appointed as our external auditor for the 2024 fiscal year. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you, Corinne. We'll now move to old business, and I would ask if there's any questions regarding old business. Hearing none, we'll move to new business. So to start the discussion about new business, I wanted to let you know that we're very excited to announce tonight that we are growing our partnership with Provincial Government Employees Credit Union to explore an amalgamation. This exploration is focused on creating an even stronger credit union with improved sustainability and greater potential for growth and for innovation. One of the most important roles of the board is to provide oversight to the credit union, ensure we take steps to promote the long-term interests of our membership. The boards of both credit unions feel that our shared mission of positively impacting the lives of members and communities will serve as a strong base for this partnership. As strategic partners that serve members from our shared branch in downtown Halifax, an amalgamation can help us create a strong service environment for our staff, for our members, and for our credit union. As part of our amalgamation exploration, we are creating a business case to understand what our credit unions can achieve as one combined organization, including the benefits it would create for our employees, our members, and our communities. Following the due diligence process and a review of the proposed business case, if the board of directors from both credit unions choose to recommend amalgamation, we will seek member approval in the fall of 2024. We are excited to share more with you about this opportunity and invite you to visit our amalgamation website. And it's all lowercase, growingbettertogether.ca, to learn more. I will now open the floor for questions about any form of new business. And as a reminder, I'd ask you to use the microphone so everyone can hear, and also to state your name.
Good evening, I'm Colleen Cameron. I'm a long time member of the East Coaster Virgin Green Credit Union. And I'm very impressed with the presentation tonight, and I do appreciate the community impact. As part of the Anaconish Affordable Housing Society, we've been a beneficiary of the staff and of the business of the credit union, so greatly appreciate that. Just on another note, as a member of the credit union, I have been looking for some information and was having challenges in finding that, and particularly around HR policies and discrimination policies. So I thought I would be able to go and find this information, what would be your policies, and I'm just wondering, is that something that's really confidential, that you can't, that a member can't have access to, or what is that process of finding that out?
Ken, I'll look to you in terms of...
Yeah, policies are kind of the organizations. They're not normally for public distribution, so they are the way that we guide our activities within the organization, but they're not normally for public purview. They're more internal to the organization, so I'm not sure that it's appropriate that we would supply policies of the organization to everyone. It's not a regular thing that would be part of our process. And, you know, we certainly have done all the things to avoid harassment. All those things are in our policy, but I don't feel it's appropriate that we would give that to the public. It's not a public document.
So would you be able to say, do you have anti-discrimination policies?
We do. We have anti-harassment policies, et cetera. Like we have all the, we do try to model the policies that are taken by all credit unions across Atlantic Canada, and we also look for best practices in industry to make sure that we're always keeping current with anything else that's developing. So we're probably doing more, I think, than many other credit unions in this regard, but I just don't know if the policy being out in the public is the right way to deal with it. So.
Okay. Well, I'm just glad to hear that you actually have it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I hope it's being implemented
as
appropriate. All right,
we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Any other questions in new business?
David Fletcher. I haven't been a member as long as Colleen Cameron has, but then who has, right? But maybe just as a follow-up to Colleen's question, and then I have a question of my own. You know, HR policies, I can see the importance of maybe keeping them inside, but we've made this change from HR to people and culture. And perhaps if we want to be a leader in people and culture. And as a credit union, we want to be a leader in inclusion and anti-discriminatory practices, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe it's not releasing our full policy, but perhaps we could be a role model to other credit unions, to others in the banking sector, where we talk about these are the policies we have in place, these are why they're important to us, these are why we're trying to step forward to ensure that we have a safe and an equitable environment for all of our employees and all of the interactions between our employees and the membership. And just protecting those inside, I can see the value of those if we think of it as human resources. But if we really think about it as people and culture, and that not just being a new trendy phrase, maybe there is something that we can release and be a leader for other credit unions and others in the financial
Yeah,
sector.
David, thanks for that. It is a good point. It is something that we are considering as part of our DEI strategy, I believe, that we would have principles, but not necessarily the policies that support those. So there could be principle statements. I think they're very appropriate to have as an organization, but I'm just not sure that all the details of like how much vacation somebody gets and, you know, paid sick days and all that is part of the public domain. So I think a principles-based approach makes a lot of sense, that, you know, we will endeavor to try to build those into future communications so that we can make sure that people understand what we stand for, rather than the policies, which I think are a little bit more organizationally needed, but not necessarily publicly required. So, but yeah, definitely can look at that as part of our future communication processes. Thank you for that. Yeah.
And my question, and I'll try to be quick, but here in Antigonish and maybe in other places, amalgamation can be a trigger word for some people. And even in the context of the credit union, it can be. So I have a two-part question. First of all, there was a vote and there was a successful amalgamation with LaHave. I know there were some concerns from some of the members there about that. And I'd like to get a sense of what has East Coast done to welcome in LaHave membership and someone on the board. I don't think that person was here tonight. Maybe I missed their introduction.
Yeah.
But that's one part, and then the second part is, as we move forward, perhaps in investigating this idea of a amalgamation or a joining or collaboration with the provincial employees. What's the size of that credit union? What are the kinds of criteria that are being looked at in terms of another urban Halifax-based organization becoming part of East Coast? And how will we ensure that the regional imbalances across Nova Scotia are not skewed with another major partner in Halifax? I spent a lot of years in Halifax, so I'm not anti-Halifax. I just know it's something that we need to think about when we think about amalgamation.
So I'm just trying to make sure I get it right. On the first one, it was the representation for LaHave, and the second one was how we making sure.
And not just representation, welcoming.
Welcoming. So what we've done to welcome and make sure there is representation, there is a board member. They would have been here tonight, but we decided to do a simulcast of this meeting in a hotel in Bridgewater so that all the members of that credit union, previous members of that credit union and now new members of East Coast could participate in the meeting in their own community. So they agreed to stay there and do that, to be our representative along with the team from that branch. So there's a number of them that are participating online and listening, and hopefully everything's going well because we haven't had a lot of questions from them, but we hope everything's going well for them to hear everything that's going on here at this meeting. On the Provincial Government Employees Credit Union, just want to assure you that it's not like a huge enterprise taking us over from Halifax. It's actually quite the opposite. They're about 50 million in assets, 40 something, 1.4 billion. So a smaller portion of our business, but we already have a very strong partnership or collaboration with them. They're a closed bond credit union, so they only deal with members of the public service, basically. And if you're not a member of the public service, then in the branch that we co-locate in, then you deal with East Coast. So we already have this relationship. What we're looking to do is just expand that a little bit more to be fully encompassing what they do in East Coast, and provide them with the support and services that they require to continue to be sustainable for their members. The other thing that I think is really important with that relationship is they are based in Halifax. They only have the one location. So our network actually provides their members and potential members with the opportunity to connect with us. As you know, many of the provincial workers don't all work in Halifax. They're all across the province. So we're hoping that this will create a stronger bond with credit union, East Coast particularly, across some of those communities as they work in their community and are able to be part of the provincial government employees credit union, but also part of the overall umbrella of East Coast. So I hope that helps to kind of put it a little bit in perspective. We believe that it provides East Coast as an organization the opportunity to build and develop stronger relationships, more relationships with those provincial government employees because of that special connection. At the same time, we can offer services, products, opportunities for their members that they currently can't take advantage of today, like commercial lending and some of these other things that they wouldn't normally provide. We can provide those as part of our addition to the team, so to speak, and also those many other locations. So I think there's some positives on both sides, and that's why we're doing the investigation of how it looks and whether or not it makes sense. And obviously there'll be more information to come as we get through the process. But did want to reassure you that it's not a reverse takeover. So we're going to be based in Halifax. It's basically just to help this credit union continue to be sustainable. So okay, thank you, David.
Great, thanks for the question and Ken for the response.
Hi, I'm Morris Smith. I'm on the board. Ken, I just have a question for you in connection with the B Corps program that we were successful in obtaining that designation. When we were being vetted for that, would there have been a review of all of our policies, our human resources, and an examination of those by B Corps to come to earn us that designation?
There's a review of many of our business processes. I'm not sure if HR policy is necessarily one of them. They do look at the way we pay, the way we do treat staff. They look at our staff surveys and things, so that some of those results, but not necessarily the policies. I'm not sure, to be honest, because I wasn't that involved in the. Yeah. So a sample, is that what? Yeah. So a sample policy was provided. So.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I'll ask if there are any further questions. Bill Timmons.
I just want to mention the fact that the director from LaHaye, Greg Law, is a fantastic director and has indicated his desire to join us on the audit committee and the community impact committee, perhaps the two most important committees. Being biased that I am, and I'm very, very happy. I hope that that will work out. As soon as this meeting is over, we're going to meet as a board and do some restructuring for next year and stuff. But he has already made a tremendous, he's a CPA, and he made a tremendous impression of the first meeting that he was at. So we're very, very happy to welcome Greg aboard and to be able to offer some of those impact investments and bursaries or grants to not-for-profit and cooperative enterprises in the Bridgewater area. So very much looking forward to that.
Great, thank you, Bill. And I believe that Greg is joining us live stream from the Bridgewater location. Any further questions? You're just waving to him, Christine? Okay. So this might be what you were, I know you were waiting for the auditor's statements, I was, but this may be what you want to hear. Hearing no further new business, we continue to our closing and adjournment. So I'd like to finish by thanking our marketing and communications team, many of them are here this evening, our corporate support team, and many staff volunteers for their role in putting this evening together for us. And as I mentioned, many of them are here. I'd also like to thank the staff of CICL and Legion for hosting us this evening, and a special thank you to the team at 45 North and Basil Audiovisual for providing our live stream services this evening. I would like to thank everyone for attending this evening. We had a very successful year in 2023, as has been communicated this evening, and it was my pleasure to recount many of those successes to you. Having included our business agenda for the evening, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Safe travels and have a good night.
I'm going to turn the lights up. I'm told that there's still some snacks at the back, so if people want to stay and mingle, you're more than welcome.